Hi everyone, so today we are going to be dividing fractions again, but this time we're doing it without the modules. So we're going to be doing a method called keep, change, and flip, and you do those 3 steps, and then you multiply actually instead of divide. It's interesting. So go ahead and find a blank page in your notebook and title it Dividing Fractions. All right, and then go ahead and write keep, change, flip, because those are our steps, and we are going to be referring back to those. So we're going to put keep, change, flip. And I'll explain this because obviously they don't really make very much sense right now. So let's just jump right into an example and see what these 3 words are talking about. So example 1, we're going to do 1/2 divided by 1/4. Okay, 1/2 divided by 1/4. Here's what these words mean. Keep is talking about the first number. Change is talking about the division. And flip is talking about the last number. It's always like that. You keep, you change, and you flip. And then we'll get our answer. So if we keep 1/2, 1/2, that's going to stay 1/2. We change division, we change it to multiplication. All right, every time we'll flip that division over to multiplication. We're actually going to be multiplying the fractions by the end of this. But you can't just multiply it by 1/4. That, of course, would not be the same thing as dividing by 1/4. So what you do is you flip this one over. It's 1/4 right now. We're going to flip it. We're going to put the denominator on the top. We're going to put the numerator on the bottom and flip it to 4/1, which is equal to 4. Okay? And now we're going to solve 1/2 times 4/1. Kept, we changed, we flipped, and now we just solve it. So we got 1 times 4, which is 4, and 2 times 1, which is 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. So that would be our answer. So 1/2 divided by 1/4 equals 2. And that makes sense because we talked about the other day, if you divide by something less than 1, it will indeed get bigger. And so it might seem weird that we got a number bigger than we started with, but we're dividing by a fraction, so it's going to happen. All right, we're going to do about 4 more examples. So go ahead and get ready to find some space. I did not mean to erase keep, change, flip, so I'm going to rewrite that. All right, example 2. We're going to do 2/3 divided by 1/2. Okay, so if we keep 2/3, we should write 2/3. That one's the easiest one, you don't have to do a thing. Then we change, so we change our division to multiplication. And then we flip 1/2. So the 2 on the bottom should now go on the top. 1 on the top should now go on the bottom. That's not a 1. There we go. All right, so you should have 2/3 times, change that, 2/1, because you flipped it, which is equivalent to 2. All right. Remember when I said that dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2? Or multiplying, I think I said dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2, which is also true. But you can flip those, and you're doing the opposite operation with the inverse, or you flip that fraction upside down, you will get the same answer. All right, so when we multiply, we got 2 times 2 equals 4, and 3 times 1 equals 3. Sometimes you will end up with something like this, an improper fraction. So when you do, I want you to turn it into a mixed number. What does 4/3 even mean? Let's see. We do 4 divided by 3. 3 goes into 4 once. And you'll get 1 and 1/3. To me, that seems easier to understand. Okay, I know what 1 1/3 means. 4/3, it's a little harder to picture in my mind. So 1 1/3 is what 2/3 divided by 1/2 would be. All right, we're going to do another example. Example 3. All right, we're going to do 1/3 divided by 4/5. Keep your 1/3, change your division to multiplication, and flip your 4/5. It's going to become 5/4. And we'll see if that gets us. So multiply our numerators. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 4 is 12. I like ones that end like that. We don't have to do anything. There's no simplifying. There's no turning it into a mixed number. It's already good to go. 5/12. So if we do 1/3 divided by 4/5, that gives us 5/12. All right. About 3 more examples. Example 4. Example 4 is going to be a little different. We're going to put a whole number in there. What happens if you're trying to divide by with a whole number, either before or after? We're going to look at some of those. So let's say we have 2/3 and we're dividing it by the whole number 5. You guys know how to model this because we did this the other day with modeling. So you could draw a model to find your answer maybe, but we're going to use keep, change, flip. So first thing we want to do is to turn the whole number into a fraction. And as we kind of mentioned the other day, you can do so by putting it over 1. Okay, a whole number over 1 is equivalent to whatever the whole number was. So 5 equals 5 divided by 1, or 5 over 1. So each time you have a whole number in there, we're going to put it over 1. Because else how are we going to flip 5? It doesn't flip if it's not over 1. So we're going to make it a fraction. And 5 as a fraction will be 5 over 1. Put it over 1, you're dividing by 1, which doesn't change it, the value. Okay, so now we can keep, change, and flip. So we're going to keep 2/5. We're going to change our division to multiplication. And we're going to flip our 5 over 1 to 1 over 5. Right, and now we're ready to multiply. So we got 2 times 1, which is 2, and 5 times 5, which is 25. 2/25. There's your answer. So if you have 2/5 divided by 5, you get 2/25. All right. We'll do another one. We'll just do one more actually. We'll do one more and we'll do a whole number divided by a fraction so you can see that too. So number 5, we're going to do 2 divided by 1/6. Alright. So let's go ahead and put our 2 as a fraction so that they're both fractions. I feel like it's less confusing if we just stay uniform and do the same thing for every time. So since there's a whole number in there, we're going to make them both be fractions. We're going to change 2, so we're not really changing 2, we're just going to put it over 1 because that's the same thing. 2 equals 2 divided by 1. Alright, so now we're ready to keep, change, and flip. So we'll keep 2 over 1, 2 over 1. We'll change our division to multiplication and we'll flip our 1/6 to be 6 over 1. Now we got 2 times 6 and that is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. Now as we've said before, if a whole number is over 1, it just equals that whole number. Alright, so 12 divided by 1 equals 12. So 2 divided by 1/6 equals 12. Alright, if you have 2 things, you divide them into 6, you're going to have 12 pieces. So that makes sense. 2 divided by 1/6 equals 12. Alright, so you have a practice page to work through on keep, change, flip. Remember those 3 steps, you can divide any fractions.